What is going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. So guys, over the last 2 months, I have been sharing different clips with you from different moments in history. This clip right here starts off with Dr. Jawanza, I believe I'm saying his name correct, giving information about the conspiracy to destroy black boys and a meeting that he had with teachers back in 1988. Many videos that I've shared over the last 2 months, they all may seem to be for entertainment purposes, but all of these videos have connected to bring a bigger message. And here today on the channel, I want to break down the message that I'm actually trying to convey to you through sharing these videos. See, I can get on social media myself and talk into a camera, show my face and tell you many different things about what happened back in the 50s, what happened in the 60s, what happened in the 80s, in the 90s, and before most of you guys were even born. And you would start to question my validity or the validity of what I'm bringing to you, because there is no actual evidence to what I'm bringing to you. So what I did over the last 2 months was I put together a whole bunch of clips on my Instagram page, and I started to share these clips with the understanding that people would see the message that I'm trying to convey, and would start to see what actually happened to black relationships. And why do people today believe that this only started today? Could it be because of the information that had started to be shared across the internet only started to catch a lot of steam within the last 7 years, but it really started to pick up when Kevin Samuels started to go viral, talking to women on his social media websites about their behavior and the inability to be accountable or hold themselves accountable for what they have done or what they're doing in society. This caused a lot of black men to then come out with this same energy to attack black women, calling them 304s, saying that they're for the streets, telling them that they need to be held accountable for the amount of bodies that they have and for how they dress, and for the divorce rates not being what traditional women were, and how feminism actually caused them to be what we see today. But what these men don't understand is that this didn't happen today. This didn't take place today in modern times. And these modern women are not doing this because of what they are being introduced to in modern society. These things have been going on for years, for decades, and this is what these videos are going to show to you. This is what you're going to be presented with here in this video today. You're going to be shown different videos that actually connect to bring you a bigger picture, a broader picture. So take these things in, understand these things. Many of you have seen these clips already. Many of you have probably been on the Instagram page and looked at them, but I want you to see that these videos, they come together to bring a deeper message. In the video here you're seeing right now, this is from a video from 1982 that shows teen mothers who came together to share their stories and to help other teen mothers understand how hard it was to be a teen mother and the support that they had when they became teen mothers. The other videos that follow shows you other teen mothers who share their stories and how hard it was to be a teen mother, and the mistakes that they made in becoming teen mothers. not the mistakes that they have having the children. We don't want to go as far as to calling anyone's child a mistake, because these are people's mothers. These are children who have children now. And many of these stories that are going to be presented, these mothers who are probably no longer here, whose children may want to understand what their mothers thought and how their mothers thought about what happened for them, or how they became the mothers that they became, and how they try to help others understand that being a teen parent is not just a walk around the block. So guys, what do I hope you get from this video? What do I hope you take from this video? What do I hope that you learn from this video? I hope that you see that the messages shared here with you today are not for entertainment purposes. No, they're not to trigger you. No, they are to solely help you understand how things possibly became how they are today, and what caused these things to be how they are today. Everything that you're being shared with here in this complete video, put together to show you piece by piece what possibly took place. So look at these videos as something that's helping you understand. Again, yes, you may have seen them already. Yes, you may have seen these before, but you probably have not understood that these were brought together to help you get a better understanding. Guys, enjoy this. I didn't want to speak too much. I wanted the videos to speak for themselves. So watch these in their entirety. Watch it till the end. But watch it. As you watch it, see how it all came together. And see what message is being brought to you through these videos. I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.
A lot of them have their mother take care of it for them. They're supposed to take care of it themselves, but I think I'm going to have a hard time taking care of it myself.
Why? Because you're so young?
Yeah.
Are you scared?
No, not that. He kept bugging me about it.
Did you know about birth control or what caused people to get pregnant?
Yeah, I heard about birth control, but I'm scared of it because it causes cancer. He expect me to pay everything, and he's supposed to do something himself. He ain't done nothing for the baby.
What do you think of him now?
I don't think he's a man.
And in high school, they was teaching us a little bit, but not much.
Does the schools provide you any information or background about what to expect?
Not really, not too much.
Did you know how it happened that girls get pregnant?
No,
You didn't know?
didn't know then. Know now.
If they 14 or 15, they said I thought I had to be at least 18 years of age or something like that. Or some say I thought I should take the pill after the sexual relationship instead of before.
But you know, now your parents are the ones that's supposed to. Really, they be embarrassed and you be embarrassed too at the same time. And so you'll never go out and ask your mama, what's it like? Because your mama think, first thing she'll say, why you want to know? Then you just eject from it. You never ask her again. And then when you get pregnant, everybody will be a shock to the family.
I knew how easy it was. But I don't know. I knew. But I guess I just made that mistake.
No, I don't think my life's ruined. It's just bringing another one in the world. That's all.
She has a responsibility of getting pregnant, and she should have the, responsibility of knowing what to do. If they don't teach you in the school, talk to your mother, and she should be able to tell you.
What if your mother doesn't want to tell you? What if she's embarrassed?
Then she really isn't a mother. She's supposed to tell her child right from wrong.
For many African Americans, with the resurgence of black awareness and pride, black men and women face new problems, not only in relation to white society, but to each other in a black society. Recently, there has been a stream of articles on this subject, and the Chicago Daily Defender, America's largest black newspaper, began a series some weeks ago on the emergence of the new black woman. Benny Washington, reporter for the paper, surveyed the Chicago scene to report on how black men and women believe the revolution in racial pride will affect them and their families, before the sociologists and experts tell us how we are supposed to react.
As a reporter for the Chicago Daily Defender, and as a black woman married to a black man, I've become deeply aware of the effects of this new black revolution on the relationship between black man and black woman. I see it among my own friends, and I also see it in my home. But the most revealing and the most vocal statements about what the new black man expects from the new black woman came when I met with a group of young unmarried friends one Saturday afternoon.
I think that what's happening in America as far as black men and black women is concerned is that there's a revolution within a revolution. We are fighting our own woman. Our woman will not allow us to emerge as black men. No. But our black women, who has been put in this role of aiding white America, white structure, and castrating the black male, has continued doing this. She cannot live with us. It's not that we can't live with her.
Are you blaming us? Are you saying that it's our fault that this happened?
No, I'm not blaming black America women. I just said that I'm blaming the system. They are victims of the system like the black male.
Well, why do you say that we are castrating you? You say that you want to be the leaders. Okay, well, what about the black professional woman? Are you saying that there should be no black professional woman? Are you trying to deny black women the right to be creative, the right to function?
We're not
trying to deny black women the right to be creative, the right to function.
We're not asking for you to take a back seat. We're saying that you have got to be astute enough and can view the situation well enough where you just automatically know what your role is and step back. And whenever you want to have that aggressive thing, this is the thing that the young black man today is not going to tolerate. My old man tolerated it because his old man tolerated it. It came up for years and years and years. But today, the young black man is not going to take it. He's going to be out there as the leader. White America has used black women to keep the black male in his place. And you're still aiding him by saying, well, we are qualified, we want to work, we can help.
Okay, how are you going to reprogram men so that they don't let us take over what's supposed to be their responsibility? And men that I have had dealings with, they are perfectly willing to sit back and let us do anything we want to.
I don't think that you have to reprogram men. I think you have to reprogram women.
No, you have to reprogram the man so that he will forcefully take what belongs to him, because you know women, as long as we can get, we're going to get, and it's part of our being. We're going to do anything to you that you let us, whether we want to or not.
You don't want to live on the level of income that I can afford you and love me on the basis of that. You want to always be aspiring to have all those things that's a part of the great middle-class white American society, and because I can't deliver these things to you, you say that you are not a man.
I don't measure a man by how much money he can bring home. I measure a man by how he treats me. Whether when I'm tired and I'm sick and I'm scared, he's there.
For these women, the men are there. But with the feeling of racial pride has come new conflicts and new problems. Across America, they meet to discuss what black awareness means to their families and to them as black women of today.
You know, there have been a lot of myths created about the black family. We all recognize that. And one of the most pernicious myths is the myth of the black matriarch, you know. And this whole concept, and I think this is one of the reasons that the black community reacted so negatively to the Moynihan report, because we know that that's not true.
It was not like
the black woman has not been a matriarch in the sense that it has been defined thus far. And thank God research, and I hope black research, is being done now to reverse that kind of thing. In fact,
the black woman has been a woman at the head of a household, not by choice, but by necessity. And often, that's right, and more often than not, she is not a strong, matriarchal, aggressive, domineering figure. She is a woman in search of a man. But this story has not been told. The prejudiced society created what we have now.
Would you have planned it, to have a baby at age 14?
No.
So who do you think is going to help you keep the baby?
My mom.
So she would be at home with the baby, and you'd be going to school just kind of like you did before you got pregnant.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Do you think that's fair to your mom?
No.
Think these girls are too young to be having babies? Well, Sandy and Felicia are only two of hundreds of girls statewide, ages 10 to 14, who will become mothers in 1993. In most cases, their bodies are not ready, and in almost all cases, their minds are not ready. Larry Williams is a physician's assistant at the Twin Counties Rural Health Care Center.
I mean, they're young girls that should be in junior high, still maturing and growing up, and they're now expected to be mothers. And I would say the mental problems are much worse than the physical problems.
So how do you think you've changed now that you're a mom?
While the medical world fully understands the consequences of becoming a teen parent, the teens themselves often do not. We visited Felicia Richardson at home just days after her delivery, and like many teens, she had yet to realize how her life would begin to change.
What's different? Now that you've been through this and you have your baby, what would you tell girls who were thinking about having sex with their boyfriends and not using protection? What would your advice be to them?
They better use something, cause they don't want to go through.
Felicia claims she will follow her own advice by getting a Depo-Provera shot at the clinic to prevent further pregnancies.
Do you want to have another baby anytime soon?
Mm-mm.
And after learning the hard way that waiting too long can have serious consequences, Sandy already has.
How are you going to make sure that you don't have another baby?
I got the things on my own.
You going to get a Norplant, or do you have that already?
I got it already.
Let me see. That this baby's going to be with you forever?
They are girls like Sandy, who at the age of 14 is hardly prepared to make decisions that aren't even easy for adults.
What did your mom think about it when you told her that you were pregnant?
She just said I can have an abortion or I can have it if I want to. But I'm going to have to take care of it.
She told you you were going to have to take care of the baby. So what made you decide to go ahead and keep the baby?
Because they say yeah, abortion will hurt.
Did you want to have a baby, or was it you just wanted to have sex?
I just want to have sex.
Did you think about using birth control before?
The day I went to the doctor, I was going to get them pins in my arm.
Do you know what those are called?
Norplant.
Norplant. You went to get a Norplant.
And they told me I was pregnant.
Sandy's best friend didn't use birth control either. That's her with Dr. Ricky Watson, one of the physicians at the Twin Counties Rural Health Care Center. Her name is Felicia Richardson, and she too has decided to become a mother at the age of 14.
If you were to stop and think about it, would you have planned it to have a baby at age 14?
No.
From left to right beat Sheila, Shonda, and Kim. All three are teen mothers. What did you do when you first found out that you were pregnant?
I was scared, okay? You know, I sit back and think, I said, well, hey, I want to be a model, you know. I'm a teenager myself. I'm only a child. And now I'm pregnant. I don't have a job or anything. What can I do? You know, and I hurt my parents real bad because they were behind me all the way with my dreams I had in life, you know. But just because I had a baby, I'm not going to put that behind me. I'm still going for it, you know.
Kim, what about you?
Well, when I found out I was pregnant, I tried to deny it. I didn't want to tell anybody, you know. But when it did, the truth did come out. It was very heartbreaking
to my daddy specifically because he had a lot of goals for me to set. He wanted me to do a lot of things, to be somebody, but in the long run, he adjusted to it. My mother, everyone else adjusted to it. Everyone got excited, but it was scary because I didn't know anything about a baby, taking care of a baby, or what to do. You know, I just had to cope with it as it went along.
Were you ever afraid you were going to become pregnant?
No.
You did?
I did. I don't know why, but I did. I never figured me, because I've never been the type of person that just stop. I've always been a person that goes, and when it happened, it just kind of like put me in a numb situation, but after a while I accepted it.
If the white man would stop and realize and think that the black man feel the same about his wife as he feel about his, I think it would be a better understanding too. The black man don't want his wife to get up and go to work every morning and punch a time card right along with him. He wants his wife home just like the white man wants his wife at home.
Because a father represents the law in the home, and a mother represents love in the home. You take when a child come in and he's hurt or bruised or something, he goes to mama. But when he come in and he has a problem, he goes to daddy, you know, because he figured daddy is the symbol of law. Daddy is a symbol. He comes to daddy because daddy can help him.
And I don't think it's good that a mother have to get out and work and leave her children at home. It makes bad children. It causes some children to go astray. It's too much freedom, whereas there's a girl in the home. It causes illegitimate pregnancy in the home from the girl. And just any number of things that it causes when a parent have to go out and leave her children at home by themselves.
Fortunately for the some 16,000 girls who gave birth last year, girls like Keisha Hayes, the state has taken steps to limit those costs. It's called Medicaid for Pregnant Women, and teens are eligible despite their parents' income.
It mainly just pays for all your doctor visits, and that's mainly the main purpose for getting it, is to pay for the medical needs that you have to get.
What do you think when you look at her?
And I don't want nothing to happen to her.
Keisha Hayes has been more fortunate. Part of that is because the father of her second child has been by her side.
Now tell me, what are your plans with Keisha? What do you see as the future for you two?
I think we're gonna get married. Hope we get married.
Keisha has also been able to stay in school. Every morning, she leaves her two children at her sister's house. Bags packed for Phillips High, an alternative school in Raleigh. And if Keisha can't leave the baby at her sister's, she can bring Lantrene with her, like more than 10 other mothers at the school do. Welcome to Phillips High Daycare Center, Director Linda Carbone. Welcome to Phillips High Daycare Center, Director Linda Carbone.
And the goal for the nursery here is to keep students in school.
Welcome to Phillips High Daycare Center, Director Linda Carbone.
And the goal for the nursery here is to keep students in school so they don't have to drop out because of lack of infant care, and also to bring students back into the schools that have dropped out.
The resources to help teens vary county to county, but if there is consistency in this support system, it is the costs, the financial ones, costs that are consistently spiraling upwards. Dr. David Adams knows those costs too.
Those 1 million pregnancies every year are costing us $20 billion a year to take care of those mothers and their babies in that year where they're becoming pregnant. That's not counting the costs of them being on welfare after that.
Those are the nationwide costs. In North Carolina, last year's price tag for Medicaid, AFDC, and food stamps for teen mothers was $457 million. Again, that doesn't include the cost of the families that go on welfare after their first year. But it's a catch-22. Remember, we're talking about human lives here.
You're talking about having sexual intercourse. You're also talking about a few dangers, okay? Not only can you make her pregnant, you can also catch something.
This is the Wake County Brothers to Brother Project. And aside from answering questions about sex, it teaches abstinence to young males.
And the guys that we're talking to, they're between the ages of 9 and 14. So after talking about the facts, they really understand and realize that, yes, they can say no.
While the Just Say No message is by far the most popular in the prevention projects, it is hardly the rule.
Well, one, you have to, while you're in the program, you have to get some kind of birth control so you can avoid another pregnancy. Second, you have to go back to school and get your education.
Tammy Jackson, mother of 2, is part of a project called Cycle Busters that focuses on preventing repeat pregnancies. And for girls like Tammy, the program has helped make dreams seem more
nice. And what I tell the parents is that if your child's going to be sexually active, do you want them to talk to an adult or nobody?
Whether it's about abstinence or birth control, most teens don't talk to anybody, at least not about sex. And just who are they supposed to talk to other than each other? A lot of people say the schools should educate teens about sex. After all, that's where almost every teen goes on a daily basis. Bob Fry, the Department of Public Instruction.
There's another one place, that's the home. They all come from somewhere. They don't live at school 24 hours a day, of course. And I think it's your interest in this conversation is in the area of teen pregnancy and adolescent pregnancy. And it's real clear in the research in this field that schools by themselves can do very little.
But it doesn't happen in the home, at least not with most teens. So who else can teens talk to? Experts say that if we could solve that problem, we could probably prevent a large number of teen pregnancies.
Our children need different information at different times. They need to hear it over and over and over again.
Vicki Gehrig heads the North Carolina Adolescent Pregnancy Prevention Program. Its goal, to give kids someone to talk to, whether it's about abstinence or birth control.
If we can't prevent sexual activity, we certainly should be interested in preventing pregnancy and certainly some of the serious diseases that go along with sexual activity. But again, that's not always acceptable in a local community.
Raise your hand if you're married. None of you are married. Raise your hand if you would like to be married to your baby's father. 1. The rest of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. You know, it's a lot of responsibility. And then you don't want the commitments.
I wouldn't want no man holding me down because I think I can make it as a single parent.
Poured into the cities. Don't forget, the Negroes of our time, because they're Americans, we don't see them as immigrants. The Negroes in Watts were immigrants, just as much as the Italians or Irish or whatever who poured into the cities in the 19th century. And it wasn't a very pretty sight in New York in 1870 either, let me tell you. The families break up when they leave countrysides, rural peasant life, and sort of dump into slums. Fourthly, unemployment. We have had 35 years of disastrous unemployment, and for the Negro male. He has never gotten over the Depression. He had 4 fair to middling years in the Second World War, and maybe a good year in the Korean War, and that's it. It's getting better just recently. But by and large, it's been going on beyond the imagining in the white world. I mean, rates of unemployment, teenage unemployment in the white world and the Negro world today is almost 25%. Can you imagine that? That is a social crime. That's an outrage. There isn't a society in the world which will let 25% of teenagers go unemployed. About a quarter of Negro families are headed by women. The divorce rate is 2.5 times what it is. And all the number of fatherless children keeps growing. And all these things getting worse, not better, over recent years. It's not a matter of a bad situation that doesn't improve, but rather a bad situation that worsens. Got to get that clear. It's getting worse. How'd you learn how to behave? From your father and your mother and your older sisters, maybe, and the people around you. Well, supposing there is no father, or if he is a father, he doesn't work, where there is no education, where there's no sense of getting ahead, where children are just brought up without any of that support which a family gives it, then what do you end up with? You end up a cycle reproducing itself.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. My father wasn't in the home, so, you know, it really, male figures are not substantially important in the family.
I ain't thinking about holding up for no sex, my man. You know, if a girl, you know, she get having a baby, carrying a baby, hey, that's on her. You know, I'm not gonna stop my pleasures because of another woman.
What about birth control? What about condoms?
Girls don't like them things. They don't like them things. They'll tell you to take them things off. They figure that you saying that they filthy or they dirty or something.
It's been a startling change in values. 25 years ago, you would not have heard such things said so freely because they were not embraced so widely. The strong family was still the backbone of black America, and 3 out of 4 children had both parents at home. That is true no longer. Most black children are now... LaDawn said she didn't have a father in her home and doesn't think her children need one. She's not unusual. Half the black families today are headed only by a woman. Clorinda said she could make it on her own as a single parent. She has never been married and is raising her daughter without a man's help. She's not unusual. Today, nearly 60% of all black children are born out of wedlock. Timothy said his children are not his responsibility. He has left them to be supported by their mothers and welfare. He's not unusual either. For LaDawn and Clorinda and Timothy, and many more like them in cities all over America, the traditional family no longer exists. It has vanished, and something new is taking its place. Single women and the children they're rearing alone are the fastest growing part of the black population. What becomes of the black family in a world where the values are being turned upside down?
If the parent is 17 and 18, uneducated, unmotivated, fooling around, wandering around, what's the child going to learn? Who's to teach them? When you learn something, you was taught by your parents. It was reinforced by school and your neighbors, but it was taught by your parents. Well, if the parents don't know anything, how are they going to teach the children? So it's not racism that I'm fighting right now. It's the lack of motivation. You see, I'm not even talking about racism. Maybe later on we'll get back to that. But I think we are destroying ourselves.
This is Newark, New Jersey, one of America's inner cities. Inner city is a polite name for ghetto, as in black ghetto. Those of us who don't live in the ghetto are brought here usually by television, and usually only when there are violent pictures to show. But we have to come here if you want to understand those fearsome statistics about the vanishing black family. Now, a lot of white families are in trouble, too. Single-parent families are twice as common in America today as they were 20 years ago. But for the majority of white children, family still means a mother and a father. This is not true for most black children. For them, things are getting worse. Today, black teenagers have the highest pregnancy rate in the industrial world, and in the black inner city, practically no teenage mother gets married. That's no racist comment. What's happening goes far beyond race. Why then do so many teenage girls get pregnant and have children? Why do so many fathers abandon their families? The answers begin with the people here. They told us what happens to family when mothers or children, fathers don't count, and the street is the strongest school.
Good morning. Chuck over here, Bob Slade, standing by. I'm going to check with you on one.
Okay. Okay, Mama.
It is the beginning of another school day in Newark, New Jersey.
I dreamed that having a little baby, you could just cuddle in your arms and just hug all the time. Kiss on it, smell it, because it's so sweet. I thought it'd be fun until I had it.
The reality's different?
The reality just punched me right in the eye. I had to pinch myself and see if I was here because I was like, this is too much.
Clorinda was only 15 when she got pregnant with her daughter, Shaquana. She is not unusual. Half of all black teenagers become pregnant. Clorinda has never been married. She's still living with her mother at home, where she's raising her baby daughter. Clorinda goes to a special school for dropouts after she takes her daughter to a daycare center. She has 5th grade math skills and reads at a 6th grade level.
When I got pregnant, I said, well, I'm going to have this baby, and she's not going to stand in the way of my education. I'm not going to let no one stand in the way of my education. I ain't going to be like these other girls, just drop out, can't get no job, no money, have to be on welfare.
Ready. On the vocabulary. Bingo.
Clorinda learned about birth control in sex education courses, but she still became pregnant. You think it was a mistake?
Well, I'll say no, because I wasn't on any, birth control methods. Neither was he. And, we were sexually active, and when it happened, it just happened.
When you think back to that day when you learned you were pregnant, what went through your mind?
Oh, gosh, I'm going to tell my mother. And I'm going to tell my mother she going to make me get an abortion. I was really scared, I think.
Why didn't you want to get an abortion?
Because I wanted his baby.
What did you like about him?
His legs.
His legs?
I got a thing for bow-legged boys.
Bow-legged boys?
I love them. They have some gorgeous legs. I just don't know.
Darren Lyle is the father of Clorinda's baby. He has never held a steady job.
I spend most of my time listening to the radio. I don't go to school, I don't work, I don't do nothing. Just like this killing time.
Did you want to have a baby?
Not really. It just happened. She just popped up pregnant.
Were your friends impressed?
Not of, everybody was telling me, that, she looked just like me, and, she is kind of cute, kind of pretty. That was like, make me feel good.
Sure. Do many of them have babies?
That seems like that's all they be doing if I ain't making babies and shit, making babies.
Darren told us that in this neighborhood, it's easy to get involved with girls and easy to get into trouble. Darren has been arrested 5 times for stealing, suspicion of homicide, and for possession of a deadly weapon. When you were arrested for carrying a dangerous weapon, what was it?
One of them big machetes.
Machete?
Knives and big knives.
You mean you just carried it around with you?
I used to bring because I had like this blue poke. It was like a blue goose. I poked a hole in the pocket of it, and I used to just put it right in there.
Isn't that dangerous?
That's the way stuff was going, that's the way the people was acting towards me. So I felt like I needed a weapon. Because, it used to seem like, it's like a war, really, like Vietnam.
Have you asked Darren to help you with the baby?
No, because I see he can't even help himself. He can't. It's pitiful to say that, but he can't.
He wasn't prepared to be a father?
No. And he still isn't.
Were you ready to be a mother?
Well, no. But now that I am, I just have to take it step by step.
She not tender-headed.
Clorinda relies on welfare to support Shaquana, but it's her mother, Gloria Henderson, who gets the check for the whole family. Gloria, 34, has never been married. She was a teenager when Clorinda was born, just as her own mother, Clorinda's grandmother, had been when Gloria was born. When you were pregnant, did you assume that you could turn to welfare for help after the baby came?
Well, yeah, but I didn't have her just to collect welfare. I had her because I felt that it would have been a part of me. I would have had somebody to live for and also somebody to love and love me back.
You ever loved?
I really, really love my daughter.
2 months after the birth of their baby, Clorinda was pregnant again by Darren. This time she had an abortion. She didn't think she could handle 2 little children while still a teenager herself. Your grandmother was a single woman with a child. Your mother, a single woman with a child. Now you. Why is that happening?
I I really didn't plan on getting pregnant. But if I really had somebody to really sit down and talk to, like really express my feelings to them, I don't think none of this would have happened. And then when it did happen, my grandmother's like, I told you this, I told you this. Tell me nothing.
Nobody told Darren anything either. He too lives at home with his mother. Where's your father?
Locked up.
Locked up where?
Green Street.
What for?
Fighting and shit. Fighting. Violence. Stuff like that.
Had anybody ever told you what it is like to be a father?
I like watching other older, I had
kids. What did you learn from them? How did you?
I learned that they take a lot of patience. Take a lot of patience.
You have a lot of patience?
I don't got a lot of patience.
Clorinda doesn't always have a lot of patience either.
You want to fight?
No.
Then don't ask me if I want to fight. If you don't want to fight. Don't say to me.
You got my course then. Hello.
Come in there.
Talk to you. You like going out like that.
No, you went out. You shouldn't be saying nothing to me. You don't say to me.
You got my course then. Hello.
Come in there.
Talk to you. You like going out like that.
No, you went out. You shouldn't be saying nothing to me. You done already pissed me off.
What I do?
2 months after her abortion, Clorinda and Darren broke off their relationship. They see each other rarely now. Once in a while, Clorinda will take Shaquana to visit. Do you ever think about marrying Clorinda? Why not?
I ain't thinking about that. Nah, that's the last thing on my mind.
You ever feel depressed?
I don't be like sad. I just be like frustrated. I be like really like frustrated.
What are the odds that your daughter will follow the same route? Because there was your grandmother, your mother, and you.
No, I see to that.
How?
She won't. I would sit down, I would talk to her about her being a young lady. Like, Juana, if you go out here, you have sex, be sure you on birth control. Or, if you do have sex, make sure whoever you having sex with care about you. Don't just let them them get over on you thinking they got a piece of the action. Now they can go tell Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Did your mother tell you those things?
No.
You tell them to yourself?
I talk to myself in the mirror. But,
and you say no?
No. And like I said to my daughter, no more.
I don't measure a man by how much money he can bring home. I measure a man by how he treats me. Whether when I'm tired and I'm sick and I'm scared, he's there.
For these women, the men are there. But with the feeling of racial pride has come new conflicts and new problems. Across America, they meet to discuss what black awareness means to their families and to them as black women of today.
There have been a lot of myths created about the black family. We all recognize that. And one of the most pernicious myths is the myth of the black matriarch, and this whole concept. And I think this is one of the reasons that the black community reacted so negatively to the Moynihan report, because we know that that's not true.
It was not like
the black woman has not been a matriarch in the sense that it has been defined thus far. And thank God research, and I hope black research, is being done now to reverse that kind of thing. In fact, the black woman has been a woman at the head of a household, not by choice, but by necessity. And more often, that's right, and more often than not, she is not a strong, matriarchal, aggressive, domineering figure. She is a woman in search of a man. But this story has not been told.
The prejudiced society created what we have now. Protect that love.
Finally, I asked Frances about the standards of today's black man as compared with those of 20 years ago.
Standards which white society had projected. I think these standards were that he had to become successful according to the white mode. He had to get a good job, he had to buy a good car, he had to move to the suburbs, he had to rear a good family that went to church every Sunday, that did everything that the typical good American family was supposed to do. And I don't think the black man necessarily is addicted to that notion. I think he sees the falsity of it. I think he sees the total hypocrisy of it. I think he wants to rear a tightly knit family, but not for the purposes that white society says. He doesn't want to rear a family for any sham purposes, just to fulfill some false ethic. But he wants to rear a good family in order to have his children strong, reared in his own image perhaps, and to transmit, most importantly, to transmit the values which he is learning to his children, and to try to ensure as best he can that his children will transmit those same values to their children, and, you know, have the same transmission repeated from generation to generation.
Listen to me. I am a woman. Black, that is. And there is but one thing which brings tears to my eyes. And that is to hear man, woman, or child stand up with strength and say, I'm proud. I'm black.
Alice Sandra Jackson is 23. She's the mother of 2, expecting a 3rd, and is not married. She, too, lives in Newark. Like nearly half of all black children in America, Alice's children are being raised in poverty. They live a subsidized life in subsidized housing. But that's not what Alice wanted or intended. Alice lives in one of the toughest neighborhoods in Newark, in the project where she was born and brought up. But she hoped that one day she would move out of here. She graduated from high school, went to business college for a year, and worked steadily until she became pregnant with her first child.
You know, I was doing so good before I was pregnant. I had a little job. I kept money, you know, stuff. But after I had the child, that's when money started going low.
What was your reaction when you found out you were pregnant the first time? Did you intend to get pregnant?
It wasn't planned. But when I got pregnant, I wanted it. You know, I wanted to be a mother. You know, it was exciting to me. I just thought I had something of my own. A little child is going to call me mommy. You know, after you have them, it's hard. You know, you got to bomb this, you got to bomb that.
Malik is Alice's firstborn. He is now 3 years old. Soon after he was born, Alice, then 20, quit her job to take care of him. 16 months later, her second child, Antoine, was born. When we met, she was 6 months pregnant with her third child. Timothy McSeed is 26, the father of Alice's 3 children. Though they're not married, they see each other regularly.
When I first met him, I didn't like him. But when he started talking to me, it seemed like he was like a man that wanted to have a home, have children, take care of them.
Did you talk with Timothy about how you were going to support the baby when you were pregnant?
No, that's what we didn't do. No, we didn't even talk about how we was going to support the child.
Timothy McSeed held his last steady job 2.5 years ago. He's been arrested several times on robbery and drug charges. He was brought up in Newark by his mother, who was 16 when Timothy was born. His father has another family in another city. Timothy has a talent for drawing, which he has never developed. He dropped out of high school at 16 and spent 2 years in the Job Corps. He was 23 when he and Alice had their first child. Timothy does not support any of his children. How many children do you have?
6.
He fathered those 6 children by 4 women. He also had 2 more children by 2 other women, but one died in infancy and the other was aborted. We asked him about the birth of his first surviving child.
It was kind of a funny experience because, like, me and the girl was just messing around, right? And she was going with somebody else. She used to be an old girlfriend of mine. She managed to get popped up by me.
Okay, that's the second baby. The third was?
Mustafa. He was the third.
That was by another lady?
Mm-hmm. Mrs. Ward. Yes, I go see him every now and then.
How old is he now?
He's 5, I'm not mistaken. 5 or 4, either one.
And then the fourth one was?
Shimon. I only saw her twice. 2 times.
What happened to her?
It's a family problem. You know, the father don't want me to see the mother and all that. You know, so I got tired of running behind her and found me someone else. Want me to see the mother and all that. You know, so I got tired of running behind her and found me someone else. I didn't have to sweat it because I guess the father was taking care of them anyway. So,
how does it feel to have those
women?
No, kids.
Kids. Oh, well, you get to see. If it ain't one thing you've done, you like artwork, for instance. You look at your art, you say, this is something that I've done. Just like the carpentry, it's something that you've done. You can see what you've done. If anything, if you don't do nothing, you can see something, you know, what your life was, you know, it was to you.
So the kids are sort of artwork?
Well, not really, but you can, like they might grow up to be doctors or actors, you know, and you can say, well, look, that's my boy, or that's my girl, you know. Whereas, you know, there's some people that can't have children at all.
Their mothers raise Timothy's children, and welfare pays for them. On the first day of each month at noon, the mothers gather outside the project's mailroom, waiting for the postman to deliver their checks.
Oh, we call it Mother's Day.
Why?
Because us mothers be getting our check that day, getting their welfare check, so we call it Mother's Day.
Alice's welfare check comes to $385 a month. She cashes it at the corner store.
Back in town now.
She gets another $112 in food stamps.
I don't think I would have had the second 2 children if I didn't think welfare was there. I don't like welfare because it makes me lazy.
It does?
Yeah, it makes you lazy just to sit around and wait for a monthly check to come in. You know, I just like to work. I like money to come in every week or every 2 weeks.
Why doesn't Timothy help you take care of those kids?
One thing I do know about Timothy, that if he did have a job,
See you another blue moon.
I know he would take care of me and the children and the bills. But what's holding him back, well, this is what he tells me all the time. He figure I'm going to be with another guy, or I'm going to slip away from him while he at work. That don't make no sense to me.
Don't you get mad sometimes?
He figure I'm going to be with another guy, or I'm going to slip away from him while he at work. That don't make no sense to me.
Don't you get mad sometimes?
I get mad a lot of times about financially support from Timothy.
What do you say to him?
I always say it ain't that hard to get a job. Go out there and look for a job, because I'm sick and tired of just laying back waiting for a welfare check. I said, this is not how I want to live the rest of my life. This is not the way I plan for my future to be.
Does it make you feel bad that you can't support your kids?
Yes.
How do they make it? Where do they get the money?
Well, the majority of them, the mother's on welfare, and welfare gives them the stipend for the month. So what I'm not doing, the government does.
What would happen if the government didn't?
It'd be a big disaster, I guess, because you can't give something that you don't have. In order to give, you got to have for yourself.
You see, people out there watching will say, why didn't he think about that before he brought 6 kids into the world?
Well, mother had a choice. She could have had an abortion, or she could have kept the child. She decided the way that she wanted to have the child, so therefore, I guess it's not sweating her. I mean, it's not bothering.
You think it's her fault if she gets pregnant?
Well,
I mean, you fought her.
Well, maybe, maybe not. Like they say, mama, baby, papa, maybe. You know what I mean?
A week before their last baby is born, Alice came for what is only her 4th visit to the doctor during her pregnancy.
Yeah, I was very much worried, and I was kind of unhappy being pregnant. You know, to know that I'm going to have a 3rd child and I'm not doing so good with my 2 I have already.
Is that some? Come with me, please.
But as, you know, the months went by, I just had to deal with it, being pregnant and knowing that it's my child. I'm going to have a child, and I'm just going to have to.
Is that the last one?
Well, I ain't going to say that, because I said that when I had my first one, so then I had a second one. When I said that was my second one, and I had a third one. So I ain't going to say that.
Did you think about birth control?
No, I didn't even think about birth control. I was afraid of birth control because I always heard that birth control give you cancer and all that stuff.
What about Timothy? Did you talk to him about taking precautions, about being...
Yeah, I talked to him about being careful about, you know, birth control.
But did he?
No, he wasn't with it.
Let me see my little man.
So many women, so many children. Do you ever think that maybe you shouldn't do it? Unless you can be sure you don't have a kid?
Oh, not really, because I'm highly sexed. But I have ways of cooling myself down, you know, because like when you're dealing with one female and you're not dealing with another female, having sex with her too much is bad. So you have to, like, you know, set a schedule when you should do it and when you should not.
You seem to break your schedule sometimes.
Well, like most women say, you're a baby maker. I just got strong sperm.
Would you have had these kids if you'd thought about them in advance?
No.
All were an accident?
Yeah, you could say that.
Were you just having a good time?
Yeah, a lovely time. I enjoyed myself.
And you didn't think about marrying any of these women except the first one, the first girl?
Yes. Well, I'm going to marry Alice.
Sandra?
Oh, yes. We're going to get married.
Do you love Sandra?
Yes. A lot. Great deal.
Does she love you?
Girl crazy about me.
Tell me, why don't you get married?
Well, see, I'm old-fashioned. I want a big wedding. That's that. And my uncles and my aunts, you know, they all had their little tuxedos, and I'm going to have mine, too.
I thought you were going to say to me, because I can't afford to at the moment.
No, that ain't it. Because I'm going to find me something. I'm going to get something. See, I'm strong in that spot. I'm
when?
Find something. Never. I keep on trying. I don't never give up.
I can sit at the table or whatever, wherever I'm at, and I can just think of it.
What does it take to be a good rapper? What's the skill?
You gotta have style, class, and originality. Anybody can rhyme. You just gotta put yourself into it and make it mean something.
The Educated Three tell the story of the only life they know, the life of their block. They were born and raised here in homes without fathers, and most of their time is spent here. The world they describe is no nursery rhyme, as Bernard's friend C told us.
All the people got guns and turn stick-up kids while their mother is at home, shedding tears because the son that she thought she had brought up right is on the streets leading a terrible life. He's walking down the road heading for nowhere. From my point of view, he don't even care because the attitude he has makes him care about nothing, not his mother, his brother, or even his cousins. He think life is all about on the streets, being a two-time loser and a petty thief. But everybody know that you're a thief of the week because you're no good for nothing. You swear you're good for something. Homeboy, the only thing you're good for is fronting.
You wrote this?
Yeah.
Who'd you write about?
I judged a lot on myself because I used to be out there, man.
Out there on the street?
Yeah, just 18 years, I've seen a lot happen that I never thought I'd see.
When you're out on that street, is it dangerous?
It's dangerous, but it's dangerous. Any day you can go outside, anything can happen.
Yeah, but it's how you make it, too.
Yeah. Can a guy get killed on the street easily?
Sure.
See how you blink your eye?
Like that.
Yeah.
Kill just like that.
There's a famous book about the black experience in America called The Invisible Man. Ironically, the young black man today is anything but invisible. He's the one who shows up in the highest unemployment rate. He's right there in the top of the crime statistics. He's the one most threatening to his black neighbors and the one most feared in the mind of white America. Every teenage boy growing up can go either way. but the son of a single young woman in the ghetto is pressured to go the wrong way every time he steps onto these streets. What do you see for your future out there? You're how old now?
I'm 15, and right now, if I keep going like it's going now, I really think I probably would make it, and then again, I probably wouldn't have all the things that I really want in life right now, but I think I would have most of the things I want.
For teenagers like Bernard Wardrick and his friends Bosky, C, and Mike, there are no familiar road maps for the way up and out. It is the street and the media that teach a boy here how to become a man. Bernard dreams of making it as a rap star. He and his friends have formed a group, the Educated Three.
I like that. So here they come. Newark, New Jersey, your own Educated Three.
You know, you feel very responsible for your children, and Timothy doesn't. What does that say?
Sometimes I think like that. I said, Dad, here I am. I got 2 children, 1 on the way. Well, this was before the first one. I'm doing this all by myself. And sometimes, you know, if you sit down and think about that, I know I really get very upset. Because I don't think he really understands that I'm here, you know, taking care of all this by myself. If he get that, if he think like that, I think he'll do something. I don't really think he understand that I'm doing that.
Why do you let him off the hook? Why do you put up with it?
And sometimes I be like telling him, leave me alone, it's over with. But every time I do that, when he's not with me, even that same day or the next day, I feel, you know, lonely without him. Feel like, you know, I just get angry and say them things. I don't really be meaning them. So.
Do you love him?
Yes, I love him.
Does he love you?
Yes, I think he loves me too.
Kind of a fundamental basis for post-traumatic slave syndrome. How many of you are familiar with post-traumatic stress disorder? Yeah. Okay, so these are things, I mean, most of you are people who are in the field that have done the work. You're here representing the people who are really in the trenches, and I appreciate and respect that. The theory very often, when people hear it, post-traumatic slave syndrome, I try to kind of get at kind of what's going on in the room. There's ambivalence, there's feelings of, you know, what? Come on now. What are we saying now about the slavery thing? It's over. You know, get over it. You know, we're done. We have that kind of feeling. And how possibly is she drawing a connection between something that happened so long ago in contemporary society? You know, come on, are you trying to find an excuse? Are you trying to blame people? You know, these are the natural kind of knee-jerk reactions to hearing the term post-traumatic slave syndrome. However, I would submit to you that, you know, it's based on research. So I did about 6 years of research specifically looking at violence. My area of focus is violence. And I'll cover that in my PowerPoint. Also, some of you may not be able to see points of the PowerPoint, but we're going to make it available to you. So you don't have to worry about it. There's a website where you'll be able to download my PowerPoint. Isn't that correct? Did I say that right? Okay, so that part you don't have to worry about. But I kind of want to set the ground so that we can all advance and move forward together.
They taught to bring home the bacon. Or as I say of the vegetarian, to bring home the fruit and the vegetables. In other words, to bring home the money. Ronald Reagan knows this. Rockefeller knows this. That the best way to destroy black men is to deny them the opportunity to work. You know what I'm getting at, because Bill Moyers didn't tell you that was Vanishing Black Family documentary. 1 of every 3 marriages in this country, black or white, ends in a divorce in 18 months. Now, you see, it used to be if you got a divorce, something was wrong with you. But when you ever stay at this side, something must be going on in our society. I now want to explain what that is. When America believed in agriculture, America believed in extended family. When America believed in the factory, industrialism, America believed in the nuclear family. But now that America believes in the computer, now America believes in a single-parent family. Make sure you see my analysis. When the economy changed, the family structure changed. There was more than love in these relationships. There was some money involved here. Our grandparents worked the fields together. had economic reason to stay together, and so they did. In a factory, man works in factory, woman takes care of children. Economic reason again to stay together. But in this new economy, where you now have women working just as much, if not more, than men, you now hear women telling men, I don't need you. Got my own job. Do what I want to do when I want to do it. And we are now doing it very well and by ourselves. You know the #1 song in America a couple years ago, Ain't Nothing Going On But the Rent. If you want to be with me, you got to have a job. It's all about money. All about money. When the economy changed, the family structure changed. Now we have a lot of people making plenty of money and lonely. They place money before family. You see, black men want to do what white men do. Buy their family a house in the suburbs, 2 cars, and once a year go down to Orlando for Disney World vacation. And when black men can't do that, they don't feel they're worthy enough to stay. Now you see, the problem is there are 2 responses black women can give to black men when they're out of work. Now the first response some women say is, well, if you ain't working, you got to go. If you ain't working, you got to go. That's the mistake. Because black men don't hire nor fire, nor control the means of production. Now, before black men say that's right, brother, you tell them, please, brothers, quit assuming that black women took our jobs away. Because black women also do not hire nor fire. We are being played off against each other for some crumbs. We recommend the second response. For black women to say to that man, well, if you ain't working, can you at least go back to school? Can you at least learn a skill? Or at least make dinner or wash dishes while I'm gone? But the problem is there are very few black men that look to black women for a definition of manhood. Black men, as I said earlier, want to do what white men do. And that means be the breadwinner. What I'm getting at is, we're going to have to redefine what it means to be a man. Because if being a man means being the provider, with 25% of black men out of work, that's a suicidal definition. You see, if I lose my job tomorrow, I'm still a man. As long as I'm responsible, treat my wife correctly, raise my children, that's responsibility. I'm not going to allow my employer to reduce my masculinity. I need to define what being a man is. And I think it's a perfect balance between the mental, the spiritual, and the physical. Not being a breadwinner, but a balance between the mental, physical, and the spiritual. Isn't it interesting? You have 2 black men. Both lose their jobs. One black man resorts to crime, leaves his home. He's been reduced by the society. The other black man sells newspapers, sells peanuts, does whatever he can to take care of his family. Same economic situation, but a different set of values. We have to work on that. A new definition can resolve this problem. I'm not belittling money. You have to have money living in America, but that's not the criteria for manhood. Boys make babies. Men take care of them. Now we have a lot of people making plenty of money and lonely. They place money before family. You see, black men want to do what white men do. Buy their family a house in the suburbs, 2 cars, and once a year go down to Orlando for Disney World vacation. And when black men can't do that, they don't feel they're worthy enough to stay. Now you see, the problem is there are 2 responses black women can give to black men when they're out of work. Now the first response some women say is, well, if you ain't working, you got to go. If you ain't working, you got to go. That's the mistake. Because black men don't hire nor fire, nor control the means of production. Now, before black men say that's right, brother, you tell them, please, brothers, quit assuming that black women took our jobs away. Because black women also do not hire nor fire. We are being played off against each other for some crumbs. We recommend the second response. For black women to say to that man, well, if you ain't working, can you at least go back to school? Can you at least learn a skill? Or at least make dinner or wash dishes while I'm gone? But the problem is there are very few black men that look to black women for a definition of manhood. Black men, as I said earlier, want to do what white men do. And that means be the breadwinner. What I'm getting at is, we're going to have to redefine what it means to be a man. Because if being a man means being the provider, with 25% of black men out of work, that's a suicidal definition. You see, if I lose my job tomorrow, I'm still a man. As long as I'm responsible, treat my wife correctly, raise my children, that's responsibility. I'm not going to allow my employer to reduce my masculinity. I need to define what being a man is. And I think it's a perfect balance between the mental, the spiritual, and the physical. Not being a breadwinner, but a balance between the mental, physical, and the spiritual. Isn't it interesting? You have 2 black men. Both lose their jobs. One black man resorts to crime, leaves his home. He's been reduced by the society. The other black man sells newspapers, sells peanuts, does whatever he can to take care of his family. Same economic situation, but a different set of values. We have to work on that. A new definition can resolve this problem. I'm not belittling money. You have to have money living in America, but that's not the criteria for manhood. Boys make babies. Men take care of them. They're taught to bring home the bacon. Or as I say, the vegetarian, to bring home the fruit and the vegetables. In other words, to bring home the money. Ronald Reagan knows this. Rockefeller knows this. That the best way to destroy black men is to deny them the opportunity to work. You know what I'm getting at, because Bill Moyers didn't tell you that was Vanishing Black Family documentary. 1 of every 3 marriages in this country, black or white, ends in a divorce in 18 months. Now, you see, it used to be if you got a divorce, something was wrong with you. But when you have a stat this high, something must be going on in society. I now want to explain what that is. When America believed in agriculture, America believed in extended family. When America believed in the factory, industrialism, America believed in the nuclear family. But now that America believes in the computer, now America believes in a single-parent family. Make sure you see my analysis. When the economy changed, the family structure changed. There was more than love in these relationships. There was some money involved here. Our grandparents worked the fields together, had economic reason to stay together, and so they did. In a factory, man works in factory, woman takes care of children. Economic reason again to stay together. But in this new economy, where you now have women working just as much, if not more, than men, you now hear women telling men, I don't need you. Got my own job. Do what I want to do when I want to do it. And we are now doing it very well and by ourselves. You know the #1 song in America a couple of years ago, Ain't Nothing Going On But the Rent. If you want to be with me, you got to have a J-O-B. It's all about money. All about money. When the economy changed, the family structure changed. Rockefeller, Weinberger. But your question we can change. We can look at some mothers. And I said some, not all. The rumor is that some mothers raise their daughters and love their sons. My boy always loved his mama. 40 years of age, still went home with you. That needs to stop. Your boy is not yours. He is a future husband, a future father, and needs to be raised that way. Now, what do I mean by raised? Teach your son how to cook, to make up his own bed, to clean up his own bathtub ring because you raised your daughter. On the honor roll, every marking period. Goes to church with you every Sunday. And she can cook, sew, iron, and clean all, but then we have your son. Ain't never seen an honor roll. He plays basketball all evening long. Never goes to church and can't boil a hot dog. The rumor is we have some, not all, raising their daughters and loving their sons. Now I know the historical reason. The historical reason is our societies always try to destroy black men. The lynchings. So black mothers always want to overprotect their sons. What's the reason today? I know the KKK is on the rise, but what's the reason today? Is it because your own black man didn't stay? You now replaced your man with your son? Your son is not yours. He's a future husband, a future father, and needs to be raised that way. Quit telling these 9-year-old boys they the man of the house. Ain't no 9-year-old boy ready to be no man of the house. But because you told him that, he now begins to wonder. When you then bring over your man for the evening, Mom, I thought I was the man of the house. Why are you bringing him over? You can't have it both ways. If he's going to be the man of the house, quit bringing your boyfriend over on Saturday nights. You know what's sad, though? These brothers think what they can do with their mamas, they can do with their teacher, their coach, and everybody else. In other words, living at home with you in a $100 pair of gym shoes, $80 pair of a Gucci handbag. In other words, these boys have mastered how to manipulate their mamas. And they think what they can do with you, they can do with everybody else. Only to find out what you let them get away with, no one else does. In other words, 90% of all teenage pregnancy programs counsel the women. We have teenage pregnancy running rampant. But as far as the last time I looked, it took 2 to make a baby. But 90% of the programs let the brothers off the hook. The real question is, who is going to teach black boys to be responsible? And you don't starve when he makes a baby. In other words, the real question is Rockefeller, Weinberger. But your question we can change. We can look at some mothers. And I said some, not all. The rumor is that some mothers raise their daughters and love their sons. My boy always loved his mama. 40 years of age, still went home with you. That needs to stop. Your boy is not yours. He is a future husband, a future father, and needs to be raised that way. Now, what do I mean by raised? Teach your son how to cook, to make up his own bed, to clean up his own bathtub ring because you raised your daughter. On the honor roll every marking period. Goes to church with you every Sunday. And she can cook, sew, iron, and clean. All but then we have your son. Ain't never seen an honor roll. He plays basketball all evening long. Never goes to church and can't boil a hot dog. The rumor is we have some, not all, raising their daughters and loving their sons. Now I know the historical reason. The historical reason is our societies always try to destroy black men. The lynchings. So black mothers always want to overprotect their sons. What's the reason today? I know the KKK is on the rise, but what's the reason today? Is it because your own black man didn't stay? You now replaced your man with your son? Your son is not yours. He's a future husband, a future father, and needs to be raised that way. Quit telling these 9-year-old boys they the man of the house. Ain't no 9-year-old boy ready to be no man of the house. But because you told him that, he now begins to wonder. When you then bring over your man for the evening, Mom, I thought I was the man of the house. Why are you bringing him over? You can't have it both ways. If he's going to be the man of the house, quit bringing your boyfriend over on Saturday nights. You know what's sad, though? These brothers think what they can do with their mamas, they can do with their teacher, their coach, and everybody else. In other words, living at home with you in a $100 pair of gym shoes, $80 pair of a Gucci handbag. In other words, these boys have mastered how to manipulate their mamas. And they think what they can do with you, they can do with everybody else. Only to find out what you let them get away with, no one else does. In other words, 90% of all teenage pregnancy programs counsel the women. We have teenage pregnancy running rampant. But as far as the last time I looked, it took 2 to make a baby. But 90% of the programs let the brothers off the hook. The real question is, who is going to teach black boys to be responsible? And you don't starve when he makes a baby. In other words, the real question is Rockefeller, Weinberger. But your question we can change. We can look at some mothers. And I said some, not all. The rumor is that some mothers raise their daughters and love their sons. My boy always loved his mama. 40 years of age, still went home with you. That needs to stop. Your boy is not yours. He is a future husband, a future father, and needs to be raised that way. Now, what do I mean by raised? Teach your son how to cook, to make up his own bed, to clean up his own bathtub ring because you raised your daughter. On the honor roll every marking period. Goes to church with you every Sunday. And she can cook, sew, iron, and clean. All but then we have your son. Ain't never seen an honor roll. He plays basketball all evening long. Never goes to church and can't boil a hot dog. The rumor is we have some, not all, raising their daughters and loving their sons. Now I know the historical reason. The historical reason is our societies always try to destroy black men. The lynchings. So black mothers always want to overprotect their sons. What's the reason today? I know the KKK is on the rise, but what's the reason today? Is it because your own black man didn't stay? You now replaced your man with your son? Your son is not yours. He's a future husband, a future father, and needs to be raised that way. Quit telling these 9-year-old boys they the man of the house. Ain't no 9-year-old boy ready to be no man of the house. But because you told him that, he now begins to wonder. When you then bring over your man for the evening, Mom, I thought I was the man of the house. Why are you bringing him over? You can't have it both ways. If he's going to be the man of the house, quit bringing your boyfriend over on Saturday nights. You know what's sad, though? These brothers think what they can do with their mamas, they can do with their teacher, their coach, and everybody else. In other words, living at home with you in a $100 pair of gym shoes, $80 pair of a Gucci handbag. In other words, these boys have mastered how to manipulate their mamas. And they think what they can do with you, they can do with everybody else. Only to find out what you let them get away with, no one else does. In other words, 90% of all teenage pregnancy programs counsel the women. We have teenage pregnancy running rampant. But as far as the last time I looked, it took 2 to make a baby. But 90% of the programs let the brothers off the hook. The real question is, who is going to teach black boys to be responsible? And you don't starve when he makes a baby. In other words, the real question is for his siblings, for his allowance, for his studies, for his toys, for his schedule, and then his sex life. You don't start responsibility at 16. It starts very early. For example, when I was growing up, my father opened up a mutual fund account for me. And every year on my birthday, he explained to me, this is how much money you have in your account. But if you make a baby, all your money is going to take care of your child. Should it be any different? If I enjoy making it, shouldn't I also take care of it? So my oldest son, who was 15, I've been doing the same thing with him, the 9-year-old and the 15-year-old. So he told me last year, he said, Daddy, this money looks so good to me. I've just decided I'm not ever making me a baby. I'm keeping all my money to myself. But the point is, the boy understands responsibility. He understands if I make a baby, you will take care of it. There are mothers who know their son impregnated some girl on the same block, and they say, well, you know, boys will be boys. Yeah. They will be whatever you let them be. I want to pause now. Explain this. Why are some mothers raising their daughters and loving their sons? Did you grow up in a household where you did more work if you're the sister than your brothers did? Why is that? And you know what else I believe? I believe that child rearing has a lot to determine in marriage. In other words, marrying a mama's boy is a very critical mistake. Because they can always go back to their mamas. Son, your room is just the way it always was. Got your favorite pound of cake whenever you want to get there. It is terrible marrying a mama's boy. Comments. It's my water break. Give me some. The sons all night long. Double standards. Make the daughters say, but not the sons. See, my point is, if black women, I'm coming right to you, if black women know what problems they have with their own black man, why don't they correct it with your son? See, if you know what the problems are with black men, your little son, that's somebody else's husband. All what you know needs to be done, put that into your son. Right, why perpetuate if you really love your sisters? If you really love your sisters, correct the problem with your son. Yes, sir.
Isn't that hard to do, though? Because the mother loves the child so much, and it hurts the mother to whip the child and see the child hurt, so the child will continue to rule.
But that's interesting. They love their daughters, too, but they whip their daughters.
You know, I've seen this phenomenon is that the mothers are also spoiling some daughters.
True, but you know spoiling some daughters? And we don't have enough of these men there to do it? Yeah. Fathers. Yeah. That's my baby. In other words, it's very interesting. See, when the father's there, see, it's something about a black man or a father seeing this male, his same size, sitting on his sofa, eating up all the food. Boy, you got to go. But see, his daughter can stay there as long as she wants. But see, the mother knows the daughter. And so the mother, you got to go too. See, mothers make the daughters go, and fathers make the sons go. But when the father's not there, there's nobody to make the son go. Okay. Yes, one more, and then we got to go on. Yes, ma'am. Household. In other words, teach your son how to cook, how to sew, how to clean. We also recommend you teach your son sex education, and before 12 years of age. The studies show we're teaching children sex ed after they've already started. It should be before, not after. They've already made a baby after 12 and 13. We have to work on that. We must also monitor the peer group. You know, good parents have always done a number of things well with the peer group. First of all, good parents know who their children's friends are. They invite them over to get to know them better. And many times parents program the peer group to make sure their child runs with the right group. My parents enrolled me on a track team. I had to run cross country, indoor, and outdoor track. Rather than running around a gang, they had me running around a track. My parents did that intentionally to make sure. Good parents also monitor television. TV cannot be turned on by itself. Quit blaming the television set. We must also look at us. And then last but not least, we must listen to our children. Many times they tell me, my parents don't listen to me. That's why the peer group is winning. The peer group listens. Many times we don't. You know, the average father only spends 7 minutes with his children. The average mother, 34 minutes. That's a tragedy. But if that's all you're spending, make sure it's quality time. Make sure you're listening to them. We recommend these strategies for the home. Kathy, I mentioned at the very outset that one of every 2 husbands physically abuses his wife. Now, many thought the problem was only with the men who did the beating. There's more to it than that. You see, any respectable woman will make it very clear to her man, you put a hand on me, and either I'm leaving or you better not go to sleep. There are 2 kind of women in America, and they go by the names of Donna and Kathy. You see, I sincerely believe this. I believe that men know who to beat and who not to. I believe that. And I believe that men are not going to respect women until women first of all respect themselves. And there are 2 kind of women in America, Donna and Kathy. Now, Donna feels very good about herself. She would like to have a man, but she don't have to have one. I mean, the sun will still shine. God will still be first in her life. Donna wants one, but she ain't got to have one. But then you get Kathy, taking me your way, comes through the door with another woman, with a bottle, with a balled up fist. All Kathy wants is a man, and a half a man will do. I want all the Catholics to raise their hands. You know, I've yet across the country see a sister admit to me that she's a Catholic. You know what they tell me? They say, Juwanza, well, I'm a Donna during the weekday, but I'm a Kathy on the weekend. Well, I'm Donna summertime and a Kathy the other hand. It's hard being a Donna in America when you have two women for every one man. It's easy to lower your standards. If you want to be a Kathy in the America, but I'm a Kathy on the weekend, well, I'm Donna summertime and a Kathy the other hand. It's hard being a Donna in America when you have two women for every one man. It's easy to lower your standards. If you want to be a Kathy in America, the theory goes like this. For every sister we can get to quit acting like Kathy and to begin to act like Donna, what this means is less Kathys and more Donnas. As a result of having fewer Kathys and more Donnas, we will have fewer brothers taking advantage of women like Kathy and have to expect more women like Donna. I am tired of women always blaming the brothers. The last time I looked, you still determined who gets your phone number, who takes you out, and every step along the way. It's hard being a Donna in America. If you want to be a Donna, there may be some lonely Friday and Saturday nights. But if you believe in you, you'll have peace of mind. If you want to be a Donna in America, it means you go back to school, get off of welfare, learn you a skill for a career to take care of yourself. If you want to be a Donna in America, it means you will quit watching them soap operas all day long, especially all of my children, and begin to take care of your own. If you want to be a Donna in America, it means you will quit eating those cookies and chocolates all evening long. You know, the rumor is the older women get, the bigger you get. Watch what you eat and exercise. And then last but not least, if you want to be a Donna in America, you need to put God first in your life. You didn't know, it takes longer for boys to grow up, and some boys never grow up. But rather than marrying a boy as a Catholic making a mistake, we encourage you to wait. But while you're waiting, don't complain. Keep developing yourself. So when the brothers finally get ready, you'll be ready too. A good marriage staring a boy as a Catholic making a mistake, we encourage you to wait. But while you're waiting, don't complain. Keep developing yourself. So when the brothers finally get ready, you'll be ready too. A good marriage still takes two and not one. Now, as you well know, Glenn, we used to end with the Donna Catholic theory. But the women got on our case in Juwanza. If you're going to talk about the conspiracy to destroy black boys, don't end it talking about us. End it where you started, with the brothers. So I now want to give you the Eddie Willie theory. Eddie is dedicated to my father. His name is Eddie, and I believe he's a very strong example of a black man. There are two kind of men in America, Eddie and Willie. Willie makes babies. Eddie takes care of them. In other words, Willie believes it's not the quality, it's the quantity. Willie has made a lot of babies. Eddie believes in not only taking care of them, he hugs them. He believes that men should hug their children, works with them on their homework. Eddie takes care of them. Willie makes them. Point number one. Point number two, Willie only works, and maybe not even then, outside the house. Eddie works inside and outside. In other words, Willie may cut the grass. He may rake leaves, but he definitely is not working inside the house because men work outside and women work inside. But not Eddie. Eddie believes in whatever it takes. Washing dishes, making dinner, whatever it takes. And then last but not least, Willie is very insecure. And so Willie verbally and physically abuses his woman, but not Eddie. Eddie is very secure. In other words, Eddie encourages a woman to go back to school, to get a promotion on her job. Eddie encourages his woman to go to church. You know what I even heard? Eddie goes to church with her. And the reason is Eddie is his wife's best friend. And because of that, he understands that putting his woman down is not the key. The key is feeling good about yourself. When you feel good about yourself, there's no need to put any...
Shot and robbed by two teenagers when he was 15. 4 months later, he was arrested for carrying a gun. That is not unusual. Nearly half of young men in the inner city are arrested before they reach 18. Trouble, Bernard told us, waits at every corner.
How does a guy keep from falling into that trap that you described in that rap?
If you see everybody else robbing, man, and selling drugs, you're supposed to, it takes a wise man to learn from another man's mistakes.
The adults got to set an example for the kids. If they see the adults do it, you know, that's what they're going to do too, eventually.
Who would be an example?
My family, my mother.
His mom is Brenda Wardrick, 30 years old, the mother of 4 children by 3 different men. She has never been married. She raises her children alone in a daily tug of war with the street.
It's a battle. It's almost like, and I think most parents feel the same way. You fear for your children leaving home. They can leave out and walk right across the street and trouble can get in their way.
What's the hardest thing about being a single parent?
It's hard, understanding them sometimes. And they have difficulties understanding me because I'm a young parent and sometimes they act like I'm their sister as well as their mother,
Brenda was just 14 when she became pregnant with Bernard, her first child. Bernard's father was 50. By the time she was in her early 20s, there were 3 more children, each unplanned. To support them, Brenda works on and off as a nurse's aide, but she could not make ends meet without welfare. None of the children's fathers give her any financial support.
I don't understand what happens that causes so many fathers not to take responsibility for the kids they created or helped to create.
It's easier on their pockets if they can. Most of the men today don't, assume their responsibilities as they should. Not that they can't, they just don't.
I'd get very mad.
It's easier on their pockets if they can. Most of the men today don't, assume their responsibilities as they should. Not that they can't, they just don't.
I'd get very mad if I were a mother. I think I would.
Oh, I get angry. But getting angry isn't gonna solve anything. And then sometimes, their fathers, they feel like if they're gonna support them, then they have to have more time with me. And I don't feel that that's really necessary,
You'd rather take the burden of the children alone than to have to...
I wouldn't rather, but I have.
What do your children mean to you?
My friends, they're my world, When I wake up in the morning, see, if you don't have a husband or a man with you, your children are always there. So you have someone to call your own. So your children will smile when nobody else will.
Do you want your kids to get married?
Sure. Especially my daughter. My boys, they'll probably be, freelancers.
Freelancers?
Yeah.
Like their fathers?
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know.
That does seem to be the pattern.
Yeah.
I've come a long ways.
A mother like Brenda would not have been so alone in raising children. She was born here in rural North Carolina, surrounded by an extended Baptist family. But her father went north looking for work, and Brenda was raised in Newark. Many summers, she came back south to visit her kinfolk. They still live here and every year hold a family reunion. With her present boyfriend, Lamont Banks, Brenda brought her children down for the occasion. She wanted Bernard especially to see a world different from the streets of Newark.
Every time I got no love, oh, the Lord, come on, ways.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was just beautiful. She told us how we made it to the family reunion.
Let us pray. Almighty, all-wise, and eternal God.
The church was part of the extended family. It was sanctuary, community, comfort, brothers and sisters in faith and consolation.
Oh, what a fellowship, what a peace divine.
When you're away from people that you love and care about, these reunions sort of just makes up for the distance, Spend a little time and you go back and you look forward to the next time. Keeps us together, keeps me going.
I'm lighting this for my great-grandfather and my great.
And I'm hoping that my children will get together and give reunions to keep the flow, be close with their family.
More than blood, place, and faith held these families together through hard times. There was memory, never more alive than at the old family burial ground. Brenda's 3 aunts brought her and the kids to see where their roots run, far from the main highway, farther still from Newark.
but it was
Did you
nice.
have to work in those days in the field?
Sure, we worked in the field, but they got so much equipment now. People don't have to work hard now.
What was the hardest?
Picking cotton. Picking cotton, that was the hardest.
You all really have strong ties here, don't you, to this piece of earth?
Oh, of course, sure.
Is this cemetery all Wardricks?
As far as I know,
This is the
it's
old
the
family.
Wardrick family.
Now, that would be Bernard's great-great-grandfather.
Right.
What kind of man was he?
Wonderful.
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 Brenda, do you try to tell your kids about the family?
Yes, I do. As much as I possibly can. And whenever I come home, I always ask questions. It's a lot that I don't know. And I'm still learning a lot about
But there's a lot you want to know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I want my children to know.
Why?
Because I think they should know who they are and where they come from and what we all stand for. I just get a good feeling when I'm here, and I want to share that with my kids.
Together we stand. Right, we must fall.
Together we stand.
Yes, sir.
You think that's true as a family?
Yes, sir.
You think that's true as a family?
Yes, sir.
It's hard to hold a family together, though, isn't it?
True. It's true.
Think it's harder today than it was when you were little?
Seems to be. I can remember years ago when if something happened over here, our family in Virginia was right here.
Everybody pitch in.
Right. And now, you never hear of that. But it's up to us to try and keep it together. But this is what we were taught. Love and affection, that's the only way we can make it.
Bernard, this is such a change from Newark. What do you think when you're here in this place?
I enjoy coming to visit, but, I wouldn't like to live here.
Why?
The environment isn't the same. You got about 20 to 30 houses on one block. And down here, you got like a half mile. Before you
a lot more action up there, right?
Yeah, I enjoy when I come down here. I love to visit. But I wouldn't like to live down here.
What do you think your life would be without if you didn't have these folks here and didn't come to these reunions?
Empty. Maybe almost not belonging somewhere. I just couldn't imagine not having this here,
Of course, you have these reunions and this place and these people to fall back on. What do you think your children will have to fall back on?
This is what I'm trying to share with them, so that they will have this too.
But it's this, not Newark, isn't it?
They won't. They're missing a lot.
The extended family that means so much to his mother. His notion of extended family means something different. The rap group, Friends from the Street, and Brenda's boyfriend, Lamont Banks. Lamont is 31 years old, and much of what has happened over the last generation to the young black man who grew up in a broken family in the inner city is reflected in his experience. Lamont was raised in Newark by a single mother and grew up on the street. Now he has 2 children of his own who live with their mother in another part of town. He works when he can cleaning oil drums, but does not support his children or Brenda's. He has become one of Bernard's acting role models. He told us what it was like to spend his teenage years, as Bernard is doing, in the school of the street.
I grew up hard. I grew up basically being the man of my family at 13. Mommy was there, but Mommy was like always saying, well, she needed this, or it was hard, and sometimes we'd go in the house and didn't have no food. You know what I mean? And I couldn't take that sometimes, So I would take to the streets.
And
whatever was necessary so I could bring my mother some type of relief or help.
Steal?
If it took that.
How did you as a kid get caught up in that street life?
Hanging with a crowd.
What happened? Give me some examples.
I was going with this girl, and at 12 years old. And these other guys liked her, and they jumped me. And I got me a bat, and I put me some nails in this bat. And I taped this bat up with these nails in it. And I went looking for these guys. And each one I caught, I hit them with this bat. And I hurt them with this bat,
What happened?
for his siblings, for his allowance, for his studies, for his toys, for his schedule, and then his sex life. You don't start responsibility at 16. It starts very early. For example, when I was growing up, my father opened up a mutual fund account for me. And every year on my birthday, he explained to me, this is how much money you have in your account. But if you make a baby, all your money is going to take care of your child. Should it be any different? If I enjoy making it, shouldn't I also take care of it? So my oldest son, who was 15, I've been doing the same thing with him, the 9-year-old and the 15-year-old. So he told me last year, he said, Daddy, this money looks so good to me, I've just decided I'm not ever making me a baby. I'm keeping all my money to myself. But the point is, the boy understands responsibility. He understands if I make a baby, you will take care of it. There are mothers who know their son impregnated some girl on the same block, and they say, well, you know, boys will be boys. They will be whatever you let them be. I want to pause now. Explain this. Why are some mothers raising their daughters and loving their sons? Did you grow up in a household where you did more work if you're the sister than your brothers did? Why is that? And you know what else I believe? I believe that child rearing has a lot to determine in marriage. In other words, marrying a mama's boy is a very critical mistake. Because they can always go back to their mamas. Son, your room is just the way it always was. Got your favorite pound of cake whenever you want to get there. It is terrible marrying a mama's boy. Comments. It's my water break. Give me a sec, but I'm a Catholic on the weekend. Where I'm down at summertime and the Catholic the other hand. It's hard being down in America when you have two women for every one man. It's easy to lower your standards. If you want to be a Catholic in America, the theory goes like this. For every sister we can get to quit acting like Catholics and to begin to act like Donna, what this means is less Catholics and more Donnas. As a result of having fewer Catholics and more Donnas, we would have fewer brothers taking advantage of women like Catholics and have to respect more women like Donna. I am tired of women always blaming the brothers. The last time I looked, you still determined who gets your phone number, who takes you out, and every step along the way. It's hard being a Donna in America. If you want to be a Donna, there may be some lonely Friday and Saturday nights. But if you believe in you, you'll have peace of mind. If you want to be a Donna in America, it means you go back to school, get off of welfare, learn you a skill for a career to take care of yourself. If you want to be a Donna in America, it means you will quit watching them soap operas all day long, especially all of my children, and begin to take care of your own. If you want to be a Donna in America, it means you will quit eating those cookies and chocolates all evening long. You know, the rumor is the older women get, the bigger you get. Watch what you eat and exercise. And then last but not least, if you want to be a Donna in America, you need to put God first in your life. You didn't know, it takes longer for boys to grow up, and some boys never grow up. But rather than marrying a boy as a Catholic making a mistake, we encourage you to wait. But while you're waiting, don't complain. Keep developing yourself. So when the brothers finally get ready, you'll be ready too. A good marriage.
Earlene White is a Chicago housewife, mother of 6 children. Before urban renewal, she lived in a slum. Now she inhabits a new world, a world of concrete and glass. It is clean and free of rats.
Movies and blacks came to America's cities at the turn of the century. Movies were misunderstood. Blacks were unwelcome. Movies at first were no more than topical little chasers for vaudeville shows. The standard white reaction to the thousands of blacks who had moved to northern cities was to blame them for their own poverty and ignorance, and to pigeonhole them into ghettos in the city and into those ghettos of the mind, racial stereotypes. For migrants from the South, there were complications and ironies. White saw them only in the few narrow alleys of behavior that had been shaped many years before as an excuse for slavery and the repressions after the Civil War. Even the movies of those days showed blacks in terms of cliches. They liked watermelon. They suffered when their masters suffered. And they never got mad at anyone. Well, hardly ever. These were the old-fashioned leftovers from Southern law.